I hope you've got your thinking caps on today, because today's mystery is quite the puzzler. We're going to be thinking about someone who disappears in quite a spectacular fashion. He disappears from the story, he disappears in quite a dramatic way, and it leaves the person in the story as well as us who are reading it go, what's just happened? I don't know whether you've ever experienced something disappearing. Something like a teddy bear or a toy or a remote control, and you're convinced that you put it down on the table, and then 2 minutes later you go back and it just seems as if it's vanished. Poof, poof, into thin air, as they say. Or I wonder if you have one of these in your house. This is what we like to call a lost sock box. So this sits in our garage beside our washing machine, and even though when I'm washing my socks I put 2 in because I've got 2 feet, sometimes it just feels like the other sock disappears into thin air, and when I'm taking the wash out of the washing machine only one is left. So we have to put all the lonely socks without the pair in our missing sock box, and in the hope that one day the other sock's going to get returned, and then they can go back into our drawers and we can wear them again. Wonder if you've got a missing sock box in your house. That's my challenge. See if you can go and you can find one in your house, because I think that happens in more than just our house. I think their missing socks is a problem, a mystery that we all have to solve sometimes. Well, the mystery we're going to be looking at today surrounds a man called Elijah. And Elijah was a prophet. And one day he disappears. His story ends. And we can read this story and think, what is going on? That's not normal. I can't imagine how that... I can't even imagine how that is possible. And the reality is, it's not possible. Not possible in our own understanding. But we need to remember, this story is coming from the Bible, and the Bible is God's word. And the thing we need to remember about God is that nothing is impossible with him. Nothing. Even the things that sound like a mystery, even the things that sound like they're just too good to be true, or things that just seem so bizarre to be possible, that doesn't matter in the eyes of God, because God is all powerful. He can do everything. And the other thing that's amazing about our God is that nothing is a mystery to him. We may not know where we put the car keys, or where we put the remote, or where all the missing socks go, but God even knows those details. He knows everything about this universe. He knows everything about us. So then when we read these stories, it sometimes sounds so weird and bizarre and amazing. We can be encouraged that, you know what, even when we may stand and look and wonder, as Alicia does later on in the story, sometimes at what God is doing, we can be reassured that it's okay, because he is good and he is powerful and he's got it all under control, and he has the power to do everything he needs to do to keep his children safe. So let's read our story. So we've got Elijah and his friend Elisha, and Elisha is a wee bit like his apprentice. So he's someone who's learning how to be a follower of God from Elijah. And he's just been told that Elijah's story is ending. You know, that God is putting a full stop at Elijah's story, that he's going to take Elijah home to heaven. But he takes him home in quite an unusual fashion. So let's listen out to the details. So they go to a place called the River Jordan, and Elijah takes off his cloak, folds it, and he strikes the water with it. At once the water divides and leaves a path through the middle, and both men cross to the other side. When Elijah and Elisha reached the other side of the river, Elijah began to talk. "Is there anything you want to ask from me before I go?" Elisha said, "I should like to inherit your greatness and power, just as if I was your eldest son." Elijah paused. "That's quite a difficult thing to ask," he admitted. "But if you see me when I am taken away from you, you shall have your request." Slowly they went on walking and talking, and then suddenly Elisha saw a chariot of fire, drawn by horses, plunged towards the earth, cutting him off from his master. As he watched, a sudden violent gust of wind took Elijah up into the air, into the blue sky. My father, Elisha called. Great prophet of Israel, don't leave me. He knew that he would never see his much-loved master again. For a while, he stood, rooted to the spot, lost in sadness and wonder. Then he looked down and saw Elijah's cloak lying on the ground at his feet. Elisha picked it up, then with heavy steps went back to the river Jordan. He stood at the brink. He would see if he had been given the power, if God had given him the power that he had given Elijah. So he rolled up the cloak, just as Elijah had done, struck the water with it, and the water divided, just as it had done for Elijah. The prophets from Jericho were still waiting, full of curiosity. When they saw the water part for Elisha, they nodded their heads wisely. Elijah's power has been handed to Elisha. They agreed.